The NBA draft is almost here and it is about to be lit. Well, maybe. Anyway, I am Aaron Fentress of the Oregonian. I'm here on the Sports by Northwest podcast with Brenna Greene of KOIN 6. Brenna, we are 2 days away as we're recording this on a Tuesday from the NBA draft. I just cannot wait for it to come and go because I'm tired of all these crazy, wacky rumors rolling around out there involving the Blazers and the number 3 pick and Damian Lillard and Anthony Simons and Yusuf Nurkic and the number 23 pick and my mama and your daddy and just everyone in the world is involved in some kind of trade negotiations. It seems like. Anyway, where are you with all this? I've seen you out at some of the workouts. We've gone through this whole process to this point. Where are you mentally 48 hours away?
All right. I know that it is probably a little bit, at very least, because of the fact that we cover a team that is actively involved right now in, trade discussions. But generally, this, to me, feels like one of the most active drafts that we have been through in recent years. Like, there is just so much out there right now about people going here, people going there, blah, 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 blah. It's like, oh my gosh. Like, you log onto Twitter and every time there's a new thing popping off and you're like, okay, I don't even want to try to make this, I don't even want to speculate on one thing, because if I speculate on one thing, I've got like 5 more things to speculate on. Like, holy smokes. And then there's some things where you see them and you're like, right, like, okay, today the thing about how the Blazers are trying to trade for Bam. Good luck trying to trade for Bam, okay? I don't see Miami going, hey, yeah, let's do that.
And they're offering the house. They're offering everything, allegedly.
Yeah.
They're going all in. They're number 3 pick, Anthony and Shaedon Sharpe, just for Bam. That's the rumor. It's insane. It's insane.
Yeah, I just don't. Yeah, it's a lot. I actually really like the idea of a Zion trade. There's others. I mean, I don't think the Blazers are gonna trade with the Pelicans if it's for Ingram. It's an interesting time to be had, but there are so many names out there. I was listening to the Bill Simmons podcast last night where he floated a trade with Washington that included my guy Corey Kispert, which I was thrilled about because I love Corey. Corey went to Washington and went to Gonzaga, and I covered him while I was there. So I was like, yeah, that one. Let's do that one. Selfishly out of my own bias.
And the number 8 pick? That one? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, let's cover all these. So it's gotten to the point of being ridiculous, I think. I'm convinced when you cover a team specifically, and then you see people out there who cover the NBA throwing things out there, I think it becomes clear that a lot of times they might hear one little nugget and then just fold it out into a bunch of little nuggets and just throw it out there and use words like could or possibly or maybe, et cetera, et cetera. For example, Fisher said something like the Blazers are looking for high-end all-star caliber forwards like Bam Adebayo and Paul George. And then someone comes along and turns that into a headline that says the Blazers could target Paul George in a trade for number 3, which is absolutely not a thing. But since one guy said they're looking at that type of player, someone else is going to make their own headline and say, oh, it could be. And it was a Clippers guy with a Clippers page, right? And also, we keep hearing, it appears that the Blazers are still trying to build around Dame. Well, duh. Like, we all know that. Oh, it appears that if they don't make a trade, that Dame could seek a trade. Well, yeah, we've been talking about that in Portland for a year. So some of it's just getting insane.
Welcome to the party.
I know, exactly. Thanks for joining us. But some of the things being thrown out there, like the Porzingis thing, the NBA Central is just ridiculous, by the way. They will take a fragment and make it a tweet. Their aggregation has no ethics, no standards. They put out there Porzingis for number 3. Well, that's stupid. It would have to obviously be Porzingis and maybe trading down to number 8, which I think would be ridiculous. But you're not going to do Porzingis for number 3. It's asinine. Do I even think the Blazers will do Porzingis for number 8 while giving up 3? I really don't see that happening, but at least that has some merit in terms of being plausible. But anyway, it's just become.
Well, we did just see what Washington traded away, got back for Bradley Beal. So who knows with that organization?
Yeah, true, but that's a situation where you have a star who has a no trade clause who can determine where he wants to go, and you're bent over a barrel. And Phoenix has no picks to give you, so you're just like, we're just going to dump the salary and move on, which is not always a bad thing because now you're going to tank and get into the lottery, especially if you can give up Porzingis and Kuzma as well and start over. But yes, you're right. I mean, sometimes crazy things happen, but the stuff being floated out there.
You forgot about the fact that that Bradley Beal's agent's son also works for the Suns.
Exactly. So, okay, let's.
Yeah.
All right. So we both agree George not happening for the number 3. I don't think it would happen. The only thing, I just don't think that the Clippers are ready to move off of their dynamic duo. They're going to get Chris Paul, so they're going to have the best team ever to get injured before and during the playoffs. So we sort of know where they're going. So George is not going to have him. Ayton, I think Ayton's well, not I think. Everyone believes Ayton's in play because now after the Beal trade, you have 4 players making $160 million. The second apron is going to be like 172. They have no depth. They don't necessarily like Ayton anyway. You trade him for some depth. So, I could see Nurkic, Little, and number 23 for Ayton. I think that's fair. They get a first round pick. They get a center, and they get some depth in Nasir Little, all for one dude that they don't really want. I think that would be a great trade for Portland. So I'm gonna keep that in play as someone who could land in PDX. We'll see. Ingram and Zion, if the Pelicans are serious about moving one of those players, I think the Blazers are in on that, no doubt. They're going to have to do something with Charlotte because Charlotte holds the key to that because they hold the key to Henderson, which is the player that the Pelicans want. So since they know that it seems like the Blazers want Henderson and that the Pelicans definitely want Henderson, and they know that the Blazers are more interested in acquiring a star than maybe Charlotte is, that it's going to cost the Blazers something to basically move to number 2 to be able to trade Henderson to the Pelicans. So that could be something interesting to watch. I believe that's in play. And if I'm the Pelicans, I would consider trading Zion. And if I'm the Blazers, I would do that in a nanosecond. Bam Adebayo, if Miami decides to trade Bam, they're basically rebuilding. If they decide to trade Bam to Portland for anything involving Sharp, number 3, and Simons, they're going backwards in terms of youth. So are they going to trade Butler too? Because if I'm Butler, why am I sticking around for that? So I think that whole thing's ridiculous. I think they're going to be waiting for something to fall through with the Blazers in terms of them not being able to move the 3rd pick and then jumping all over Dame, which is another discussion. So anyone else? I think that's pretty much all that's out there right now. OG, I guess, could be in play.
OG and Siakam?
Yeah, it seems I keep reading and seeing that those two are not necessarily in play, though. Have you seen differently? It seems like they're holding on to them. They want the world. I could see Portland doing Ant and 23 for OG or Ant and 3 for Siakam. I couldn't see Sharp involved. I definitely couldn't see the 3rd pick going for OG. So I mean, those things are possible. I just haven't seen much written about them.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's still a lot of stuff out there. I did see today that somebody was reporting that they think Toronto's just going to run it back, which I think is weird, but okay. It's not like their team's going to be that much different than last year. Like, what's the point? But that also might be like, Toronto, that might be like kind of a scare tactic by Toronto to try to get more out of other teams. Masai is not known for being, he wants a lot in trades.
Yes,
let's put it that way. And so they could be just trying to kind of stare down people right now and then, figure it out from there once they get somebody to blink. And to be completely fair, I mean, the Blazers have done this dance once with Toronto, so we'll see if round 2 happens. You know, they danced around at the trade deadline and got nada. So we'll see. But yeah, those are. I mean, I do think that maybe there'll be a bit of a change of heart on Thursday, maybe from Toronto, in terms of like maybe they'll be willing to accept a little bit less. But yeah, I mean, if they're gonna have the same expectations that they have right now, I do not see the Blazers participating in something
See,
like
they
that.
should go Ant,
So,
Nurkic, some filler, number 3 and number 23, and give up Siakam and OG. Boom. They rebuild with Barnes, Ant, the number 3 pick, and the 23rd pick. And they got some filler contracts in there. And they got Nurkic, which they could then flip for something else because they probably wouldn't want Nurkic. And then the Blazers get OG and Siakam. Dame, Sharp, OG, Siakam, Grant. Boom.
look at you. Call up Joe Cronin. Let him know you've cracked the code.
It's so easy when you think about it. It's too easy.
Yeah, I mean, I think Nurkic's contract is a bit of a problem too, because he got a pretty large contract last offseason, and I think that maybe some teams are a little have shied away a little from that. Who knows? Because he's not really come up that much in terms of trades. I mean, he's out there, but everybody's talking about Ant. People aren't talking about Nurk as much in terms of those trades. So we'll see. I mean, he said at I'll never forget it when he said it media day. He's like, if they find someone that's better than me, they have yet to find it. But if they do, I'll accept it. It's like, all right, cool. I like the sass. I like it. Okay, so which of those trades would be the person you'd want?
Zion.
Yes.
Absolutely. Roll the dice. I know people are scared of his injury history, but it's about the future, not about the past. We also Embiid missed 2 full seasons, then played 31 games. Now he's the MVP. Zion is 22. None of his injuries have been like anything that's lingering or something that's drained his skills or athleticism or something that keeps popping up. He just has been having bad luck with this, the hamstring goes, and before that, the finger thing, that was a fluke. Come on. He had the foot thing and he had the meniscus thing. He's had a lot of things. He's had a lot of things. But if you get him and you keep Grant and you keep Shaden, you are absolutely a threat in the West if he stays healthy. I would just want to get 50 games out of that guy and have him ready for the playoffs. I would load manage him. He would never play back-to-backs, ever. He would be on a minutes restriction per week based on how many games are in that week, per game. I would just bring him along slowly and just make sure he is okay for the playoffs, because that's what matters. You do that, Dame and Zion. Woo! That's scary, man.
And I also think that Zion hasn't had a leader like Damian around him during his career.
He had CJ a little bit last
year. And I think that would very much help put him on the right 100%. Track.
And people keep talking about him being in shape. He was in shape last year. He came in shape. Like he didn't come in completely out of shape. Now I think he needs to redefine what shape means. Like being in shape doesn't merely mean he's not carrying a bunch of excess blubber. It could also mean that you just trim down overall. Like to me, he needs to call Kevin Love. Remember when Kevin Love made that transformation? Because Kevin Love was a little beefy, and then all of a sudden he just slimmed down and trimmed down. Like he needs to go call Kevin Love and say, "What did you do?" and adopt that. Because he shouldn't be running around 280. He should be running around 255, 260, and he would just be unstoppable. And so I would roll the dice. And worst case scenario, okay, here's the worst case scenario. You do that, Dame, I think, would be 100% on board with it. So Dame's not going to blame you. You get him, he comes in, he just can't hold it together. For whatever reason, he's giving you 40 games. He's not available for the playoffs all the time. It kills your chances to contend. Okay, it didn't work out. After 2 years, you trade Dame for whatever you can get. Give him one last shot to try and win elsewhere. You get whatever you can for him. You try and trade Zion and get whatever you can for him, or let his contract run free. run out, or maybe it's like, okay, we're still going to give Zion some time because he's only 22. So by what I'm talking about right now, he's only 25. So maybe you haven't completely given up on him.
Mhm.
You're still hoping, but it didn't work with Dame. But you still have moving forward Sharp and Zion. Now, if you just are done with Zion, you can trade him, get whatever you can get. You go into the lottery and you draft the 2007, 2008 version of Scoot or Brandon Miller. Like you start over there. Shaedon is only what now? He's only 23. He's still young. He's your centerpiece. And you just rebuild it from there. But for me, you roll the dice. In the best case scenario, Zion's injury woes go away. He plays 60 plus games a season. He's healthy in the playoffs. And you are giving Denver a run for their money.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree in terms of looking at who they're trading on, the trade rumors out there. And it did come out today that apparently New Orleans hasn't put Zion in any of the packages that they're trying to trade for one of the picks or whatever. And it's like, okay, well, they're gonna have to probably if they want to
Do
get
what?
that done.
Put who?
I said that they came out today that New Orleans hadn't put Zion
yeah.
in any of the trade packages that they'd proposed yet, but the week is young.
And you know what?
Okay?
And if
That's
they
all I have to
say they want to keep Zion and that he's not really out there, then Ingram must be if they want to move up to get Scoot, right? Okay, so
Yeah.
I would take Ingram too. You're not sure on Ingram?
You
were listening.
I think if we're talking about trade, the one that has the highest upside is definitely Zion. I'm not so into Ingram. It's fine.
Meringue and Sean Highkin at the facility the other day, just destroying Ingram, acting like he was a scrub or something. Dude's 25, 6 and 6, shooting 39% on threes. He's 6'8" with a 25-foot wingspan. No, not convinced. Didn't work.
I don't know. I mean, if I'm just sitting here like, who do I want between the two? It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer that it would be Zion between those two. There's just way higher upside.
Dame, Sharp, Ingram, Grant, and if you keep Nurk or get another center, that's legit. And if you're able to do it for 3 and some filler, and maybe that includes Nurk, you got to find a center, that's fine. Then you can still trade Ant. And what they also need to do is they need to get that, either trade the 23rd pick to the Bulls. They can trade the 23rd pick to the Bulls, and that frees them up to have 24, 26, 28, and 30 in play, first round picks. So they have 4 first round picks and Ant to still go out and get another person, another player to go with that group.
We totally forgot about Bridges too. I just realized that. So there's so many different players out here circulating with the Blazers.
Bridges still sort of should be considered in play because you never know. But I just feel like, I don't know, I haven't heard much about him. It feels like he's off limits. But yeah, you're right. He definitely should be in play. But
I've heard that Brooklyn is asking for a pretty penny in terms.
So what if you got Ingram for 3 and stuff, and you still had Ant and a couple picks, and you can go get Ayton. Dame, Shaedon with Thibault backing up Shaedon, protect him as a veteran. Ingram, Grant, Ayton, done. Dude, you're a contender. You're a contender.
You're right.
I do that all day. So anyway, and the other thing about the whole Ingram thing, everyone's flawed. Like every single player is flawed, but Brandon Ingram with the best small forward the Blazers have had since Old Man Pippen, but definitely better than Batum. So Old Man Pippen or Kersey, that's how good he is. So yeah, I'm done. I'm all over that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's shift this thing now. Let's say nothing materializes. Yep. None of these players are available. A deal can't be done. They draft Scoot or Miller, and they can't get enough for Ant and picks to make Dame happy or necessarily meet his expectations. Do you think Damian asks out? And just to be clear, what I'm saying is that they're able to make, like, let's say they take Ant and picks and they get Ayton or OG. One of the two. They're not going to get both. And you roll out there with Dame, still got Sharp, OG, Grant, keep Nurk, got Matisse off the bench. You bring back Winslow. Then you got Scoot or Miller coming off the bench. Does Dame view that as okay? We did some stuff, and maybe we'll do some more later, or does Dame say, does Dame say, "Get me out"?
I think if they make a trade for any sort of not superstar, I guess OG's
No,
not really not OG's not quite superstar
he's a
status,
star,
but if
minor
they
star.
make a trade that that's a minor star, I think that placates Lillard for the time being.
Really?
If they don't do anything on draft night, it is over, I think. He is gonzo.
Well, okay. So something not happening on draft night doesn't matter. Well, okay. They can make other trades after the draft. Like they can trade Ant.
That's true.
They can't trade other picks though. Well, they can trade future picks if they figured out the thing with the 23rd with the Bulls. So they can still make a trade after the draft. So I would give them up through free agency to try and pull something off post draft. But your point still overall is being that if they don't do anything, he's out. But you think if they got someone like Ayton or OG, that would convince him to stay, even though it wouldn't be the big bang he'd want. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think so. I think it would. I think at this point, it's like, just show me you're doing something. The trade deadline came and went with a whimper. I said in my I was filling in on our Sunday sports show on Sunday, our half an hour Sunday sports show. And so we have this thing at the end called Final Say where we talk about we pick one subject and we talk about it. And I was talking about how I think this is like the most important week in Blazers history because it not only does it, and it's not really, it's from a Damian Lillard standpoint, but it's because the fact that this fan base has time and time again been told that they can't trade for anybody. They can't get a big free agent signing. And if they can't pull this off for Damian Lillard now, like when are they going to be able to pull this off? Like this is like a huge moment for the psyche of this fan base. Because if you can't do it for Damian, like is this team ever going to be able to pull anything off outside of the draft? Like, and if that's the case, then forget championships. Like that's just not going to happen. You're not. That's going to be really difficult. So at the end, I said, we'll see when the clock strikes 0 on Thursday if patience is rewarded or if it runs out. And I do feel like, I think if they don't do anything by Thursday, I really believe that Damian will start getting that itch and be like, look, this was kind of the deal. You got this pick. You didn't move anything. Like, I got to start looking out for me. Because if he waits until the end of the trade deadline, then that kind of like, it's not bad, but there's going to be a lot of voices around him if they don't do anything. There's going to be a lot, and I don't think anybody could blame him for being a little antsy. So, I don't know. Maybe he'll hang on to the end of free agency, but I feel like he's going to start. If nothing happens Thursday, I think it's the heat is about to be on. The heat is on.
Yeah, I agree.
So
whatever they can do has to be cleared with him in terms of, are you going to stay if we do this? If we just do this,
yep.
Are you going to stay? So if he says no, then they're not going to do it. Like, let's say they have a trade. Okay, we can get OG, but that's it. He says, yeah, it's not good enough. Then you don't do it. You say, okay, well, we're not going to do it. And we're going to just move forward with a complete rebuild and keep Ant in those picks, right? If that's the trade on the table. The only way I believe that something like Ayton or OG would satisfy Dame completely is if there isn't a viable alternative in terms of where else he could go. Like if there's nothing out there, if it's like, okay, Miami doesn't want to do Hero and 3 firsts, Philadelphia's got Harden back, he's staying, so they're not going to make a move. Boston's not going to do Jaylen
No,
Brown. Phoenix has already gotten Beal, so you start running out of places where you could go. I mean,
there are not a lot
yeah,
of
do the
viable
Bucks do
options
the
to
Bucks
trade
say
Dame.
we'll give you, Middleton and Drew Holiday or something like that? Well, you don't necessarily want veteran guys, you want picks. I don't know. It just gets really complicated beyond those teams as far as I can tell. I mean, there could be a three. And now,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Brooklyn, but Brooklyn doesn't really have that many picks. But maybe there's a 3-way deal that gets him to Brooklyn, and you get another player from someone else with some picks. Anyway, the bottom line is if something doesn't materialize that makes sense, where he can go to a contender, and the Blazers aren't completely getting fleeced, then he may not have no choice but to say, okay, I'll roll with Aiton or OG and what we have left, and we'll see how it works. Because I could always be traded at the deadline or next summer, although his value would obviously go down. So that's sort of where I think it is. I just think it would be a waste if he never gets a chance to play for a legit team where you walk into the season as, okay, that team that Lillard is on is a contender. Like I just think that would be a shame, and I would hope that he's not going to settle for that, regardless of loyalty and all that kind of stuff. So that's sort of my take on the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, it would be very sad if I think that even if it's the right decision to let him walk, it's still very sad for this fan base if they're never able to put a team around Damian that can contend. And that's just, like I said, that's going to have lasting effects for years to come in terms of the psyche of the fan base. Like, okay, we weren't able to do it from Damian. Like, who are we ever going to be able to do this for? So, and to be, and it might be part of the old regime's issues, but let's be completely frank. Like, this is the Blazers have had a tough time in the history of their franchise attracting top free agents and getting big players to get traded here.
Facts.
That's just it just is a fact, a simple fact. That's been going on since I've been alive, pretty much. I mean, they got Scottie Pippen. Like what?
When he was 34.
Like
right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, yeah, if they can't do this now, it's going to be it's going to be really sad to see the Lillard era end this way, especially for somebody who did give it his all and did stick around when he could have easily asked out. So I am very much hoping that it doesn't end that way. But who knows? There might not be a choice.
Now, here's another aspect to this. So you have a lot of fans out there and some media saying, "Screw it, trade Dame, start over with Scoot and Sharp. Scoot's going to be this, Scoot's going to be that. Scoot may very well be the next Derrick Rose. I don't know for sure, but I have my reservations, and I certainly wouldn't say to myself, I'm going to not build a contender now because I'm going to bank on Scoot later. That doesn't make any sense to me. So I wonder if Damian knows there's a trade or two that are going to make them pretty damn good, and he knows that Cronin didn't pull the trigger because he just didn't quite think it was worth giving up their future, right? Giving up the combination of Scoot and Shaden or Miller and Shaden. I just wonder how much that's just going to tick off Lillard. Because Cronin said at the deadline, we're committed to winning with Dame. We're committed to making moves. We're going to look at things this summer, and people are going to be surprised that when we go all in and maybe even overpay. That's what he said. So they get the number 3 pick in a 3-player draft. So it's a very valuable pick. And it's very tempting to just say, well, man, I could have Scoot and Shaden, and we could have the best backcourt in the NBA in 2 or 3 years. But you made a vow. You made a promise. And you made a promise to your coach, who doesn't want to coach little kids. He wants to coach some adults as well.
Mm-hmm.
So even if it's a trade that people were, I mean, like, you said yourself, you don't know if you like Ingram that much, but you have a better chance of contending the next 3 years with Dame with Ingram by far than you do with Scoot or Miller. Scoot can't shoot, and Miller, you saw how skinny that guy is. He's not ready. He get banged around like crazy. He said himself, I need to get more physical. So I don't think Cronin can say, nah, we're not going to do Ingram because he has these flaws and we think Scoot's going to be better in 5 years. Because then you're telling Dame, well, we value what we're going to be in 5 years when you're gone more than we value what we can give you right now. And what's crazy about that to me is if you're Cronin, if he were to do this, and this is just what some fans and media want him to do, Joe Cronin doesn't know he's going to be the GM in 5 years, right? If they start a rebuild, guess what's going to happen? They're going to be back in the lottery next year. So that'll be 3 straight years in the lottery. And then are they going to be a playoff team after that? Probably not, because your best players are going to be 23, 22, 21, 20. And so is that going to be a playoff team? I don't know. It might be, but maybe not. So now you're looking at being a GM for 4 straight losing teams, 4 straight lotteries. People don't last that long in that role. Plus, the team could be sold. And if the team's sold and you're automatically fired, what's on your resume? Oh, I tanked twice. And I couldn't put a trade for Dame. And I tanked again, and then I got fired. So to me, Cronin's legacy, I mean, sometimes I hate the word legacy. He's only been a GM for a couple of years, but you could be a GM one and done and never get another job. They need to win. And the best trick he can pull off and show his acumen as a GM is not tanking and then picking the best player on the board. That's easy. It's trying to construct a roster around one of the top players in NBA history so that you can make a run. And if he can't pull that off with the number 3 pick, the 23rd pick, potentially other picks down the road if they solve things with the Bulls, and Anthony Simons and Shaedon Sharpe, who they're not trading, but he could be traded, then what are you doing? What you had a mandate. You made a promise. You have a star who stayed here to win, and you told him when you became GM, you were going to do that for him. That's why you traded CJ. That's why you traded Powell. Did you do all those things and tank twice so you can just continue tanking? Because, we lucked into the 3rd pick? Like, I just think that would be a horrible look. So even if you overpay, you got to go all in for this dude and give this guy either one major star and then a third tier guy, or 1 star and another 2nd tier star, so that now you look stacked and you move forward. In 4 years, is it going to suck when Scoot's throwing alley-oops to someone else for dunks? Yeah, it might. But if you have a title or you made the finals, it won't matter. Plus, you would have done right by Lillard. And to me, that's important.
I wholeheartedly agree.
It's not often I get a wholeheartedly agree.
I mean, Lillard's given more to this franchise than anyone else has.
He's met more than that's the other thing. I mean, he's met more than Joe. He's met more than Chauncey. They owe. I believe they owe, and I think they should pay up this summer by doing whatever they can to get that guy some players so he can make a run in this town. And it pisses me off when I hear people talking, Scoot and Shaedon and Scoot. Like, you're going to stab Damian Lillard in the back for Scoot Henderson? Averaged 17 and 6 and 6 for a G League team that went 11 and 21, shot 27% on 3. Really? Like, really? I just don't like that. All right. Anything else you want to add before we move along here?
No. I think you summed things up well in that rant. I enjoyed it. I
appreciate it. Okay, so next up, okay, we both would like to see Zion in town. However, while we want to see him play on the court, I have a feeling that we could be talking about him on this podcast a lot in regards to what's going on off the court. Now, I don't remember what's the woman's name?
Mariah Mills.
Say it again.
Yeah.
Say it again.
Mariah Mills, I believe.
Mariah Mills has been on a tweet storm telling everybody all her business about her sexual relationship. Well, I guess they're kind of boyfriend, girlfriend, but there's some kind of arrangement there, according to her, where they're having lots of sex. He's giving her lots of money. and he loves her allegedly, but then he's having a baby with someone else, so she's all ticked off, and she has just been on a tweet storm, with the latest being that she is threatening to release sex tapes. Now, I don't know if I have the energy to deal with that. Unless Zion's playing and dunking. If there's crazy stuff like that off the court, but Zion's putting up 28, 8, and 9, I'm cool. But if he's on the bench hurt and all that stuff's going on, that's going to wear me down a little bit. Now, I know you love yourself a good scandal, which is why you've talked about Scandival on this show a few times. How are you? Have you even thought about the consequences and repercussions of having Zion on this team with all of that madness going on?
Look, I paid attention when it started. I'm over it now. Like, now it kind of just feels like the 15 minutes are up, okay? Like, you had everyone's attention. Now it feels sad, and yeah. So, I mean, it's not like other NBA players don't have women issues. Let's just be completely frank, they have them sign NDAs. And that obviously did not happen.
It didn't stick, did it? Or they didn't have one.
Yeah, no. So he's 22. I'm just gonna, and like I said, he hasn't had a leader around him like Damian Lillard in his career.
Right.
So I would hope that would rub off and have some sort of effect. So I'm gonna put my eggs in that basket. Let's do that. I mean, I don't think there's been a lot of stuff out there before this with Zion and women and general, like, I don't know. There hasn't been a lot of like negative stuff out there in terms of off the court stuff besides his weight, I would say. That's a problem. I don't remember any other stories other than people talking about his weight, which, also directly relates to on the court stuff. Yeah. So whatever. So I feel like sometimes these things happen. Hopefully it's a one-off. He has definitely learned the NDA lesson. That's been learned now. So hopefully we wouldn't have to deal with a similar situation. And I'm hopeful that, like I said, a leader like Damian would get that kind of sorted out. So let's cross our fingers and hope and pray. I'm willing to take the risk. I am willing. That's how I feel.
Okay. I am too. I'm with you. It'll be interesting to see how people cover that madness. Like, because I could see OregonLive becoming Zion TMZ. Like, if we aren't careful, you know what I'm saying? Like,
it's tough.
Do you remember when the rumor was out there that Grant was dating, was it Kendall Jenner?
Yes.
I was actually asked to look into that, which I was like, ew, really? But, and I kind of did to a certain extent, but I definitely wasn't going to post on the rumor. Like, it would have to have been true. If it was true and there was a photo of them together, then I think, yeah, you're going to post on that. I think you're just going to. And he would know that dating a Kardashian / Jenner and being in public where someone can get a photo of you is going to be international news, right? So I wouldn't even feel bad about that. But I do not want to get in the habit of, having to post on people's legal off the field doings. There was it was a long time. Do you remember when Dennis Dixon was at the strip club and John Canzano wrote a column about it? He was at, I think, the Dolphin in Beaverton.
No, I do not.
And Canzano, wait, was Canzano? No, someone was there and saw him and told Canzano. And he wrote a column about it. And I remember at the time, I'm like, why are you, like, why? Why are you writing this? Okay, so Dennis, he's 21. he's at a strip club. Pretty much everyone over 21, every male has been to, well, not every, but I'd say 80 plus percent has been to a strip club. Like, so why is this a story? I can't remember how he framed it or whatever, but I just thought, those kind of things, I'm not interested in writing about. But if a woman is threatening him in some way, then I don't know. It just would get very uncomfortable. There's a great word for this.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, like I said, I mean, how many? I don't feel like this has really been an issue before.
Right. Agreed.
So, if it hasn't been an issue before, I wouldn't imagine it would become an issue all the time now. Because if it were an issue, this would have happened already, a few times in the few years he's been in the league, with some girl outing him for something on social media.
Right.
So, yeah, I think that this, it doesn't scare me away.
Okay.
Let's put it that way. Put it that way. I don't think this is going to be a pattern.
Right. Well, yeah.
So
we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah, his off the field activity could be a pattern.
Like the tape in a few years, ladies and gents.
Maybe not his lady friend putting it all out in the world may not be the norm. All right. Yeah. So are we gonna close with this Titanic situation?
Oh yes, of course we are.
Okay. So
there's a submarine. I think it's kind of like a makeshift submarine.
It's like 20 feet. It holds 5 people. It's called the Titan. It's a submersible mini sub.
Yeah. Operated by a modified PS3 controller.
Did you see that? That was crazy, wasn't it?
Yes.
Would you trust that?
Which is your first ruh-roh.
Ruh-roh. Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, can we at least get a?
It's not funny because these people are probably going.
That's true.
The people are probably going to die.
You're right.
Yeah, and they're. I think I saw a few hours ago that it's they have 40 hours of oxygen left on there.
Right here,
something like that.
At the moment, this article here, which was posted an hour ago, they had 40 hours of oxygen left. There's 5 people on board. They lost contact with them. It submerged Sunday morning, and an hour and a half, 45 minutes later, they lost contact with it. It's equipped with 4-day emergency oxygen supply. So it was going down, obviously, to look at the Titanic. So it reportedly cost $250,000 per person.
Crazy.
So obviously, you have to be super rich to even think about doing that.
Oh, all these people that are on there, they identified everybody that was on there. They're all super rich.
Right. I just I hope that something happened. They just died instantly. Like the idea of being trapped in a submarine at the 2.4 miles down, knowing your oxygen is dwindling, not knowing if anyone has any clue even how to get to you or how to find you, and just waiting would just be, I would lose my mind. And you're in this small little tube with 4 other people.
Claustrophobic.
Yeah, become claustrophobic. I mean, I wouldn't get in just because of that to begin with. But that, that's just horrible. So, if they're, if it's going to end tragically, I hope that something broke and they were instantly crushed to death, which is what would happen at that depth.
Yeah.
Because I just would hate for anyone to have to, die like that. But I'm a big Titanic. Like, since I was 2 things I latched onto from history as a kid. Like, I used to read about these things in the library when I was, 9, 10, were the JFK assassination and Titanic. So I've been really big on those 2 things. for pretty much all my life. And Titanic's one of my favorite movies. JFK, although a lot of the stuff in JFK, was a little bit of a reach by Oliver Stone. Still an amazing movie that I'm sure you've never seen. But it's
Correct.
amazing movie.
I have seen Titanic.
Yeah. That's good.
I begged my parents to watch Titanic when I was maybe I was in first grade at that point. Maybe I was in kindergarten. Maybe some things that aren't quite appropriate for a kid that age.
Mommy, what are they doing in the back of the car?
Yeah. I remember just having this visceral moment of sitting there and just being like, do not look at either of your parents. Do not look at either of your parents, because I don't want them to stop this, because I'm the only kid in my grade that hasn't seen Titanic, because that's what it felt like. I didn't see Titanic until it came out on VHS tape.
Oh.
Yeah, my parents wouldn't let me go see it in the theater. I begged them, and then that situation happened. Anyways, I remember vividly that my neighbors got to go see it, and I was so upset. Oh my gosh. I mean, Tyler saw it before me?
It's an incredibly
incredibly
well-made movie. The love story's hokey, of course, but that's just something to get you through the process. But everything involving the ship and the sinking of it is just unbelievable how well done it was. But I would have no desire whatsoever. Forget the money. If it was like $25, right? I'm not getting in a submarine and going 2.4 miles down to the bottom of the ocean to see it. There are plenty of pictures and plenty of videos I can look at to see the Titanic. What say you? Would you go down?
Yeah, I was gonna say no, I wouldn't. No, I do not need to, put my life on the line for something like that. That is insane. Because no matter what, you are doing that when you get on something like that. I'm trying to think of anything that I would pay, period, $250,000 to see. Like, if I had disposable income, is there anything on this planet, or even out of this world, that I would pay $250,000 to see with my own eyes? And I'm going to go with a hard no.
If you how much money are you talking?
No.
If you're worth $10 million, would you spend? Is that what you're talking? Like, what are we talking about here?
I mean, it does. I could be worth $1 billion. I don't know.
You got the cash. You won't miss it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always something. Who's your favorite music artist? Are you Taylor Swift?
Taylor Swift.
So Taylor Swift. Okay. $250K to spend a whole month on Taylor's crew. You got backstage. You got all access passes to everything except her dressing room, unless you got knocked first. And you're gonna hang with her. You get to hang. When it's time to hang, you're there hanging with Taylor. You got the best seat in the house for every show, every rehearsal. There may be even a few times we're on the plane to the next city, you sit next to her. 250 G's, you're paying that. I see you're laughing because See, I found it. I found something you would drop $250K on if you had it.
I guess I was thinking of something that was like risky, quote unquote.
That's risky because Taylor's crazy. I'm just kidding. So she's giving me a look.
Don't go after my girl like
she's giving me a look. She's giving me a look. She's not crazy. I'm just kidding. Okay, so something where there has to be death involved. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, I mean, okay.
Just something.
There's something weird about feeling like you're willing to risk it all for some kind of thrill. And I always wonder when people who do that, especially in a situation like these people were all in, if they're just so bored with regular life, or if they just feel like they're invincible. Oh, nothing's gonna happen. Nothing's gonna happen. I'm such and such. I'm this. I'm master of my domain. Nothing's gonna happen to me. That doesn't happen. And so you risk that because I just don't. And I guess they had to sign a waiver a really thick waiver that says, one guy said, it says on the front page alone, it says 3 times you could die. You're basically signing that you are not going to hold anyone responsible for this. And then once you see the PlayStation controller, aren't you like, hold up a second? Really? This is all we got? This is what controls this thing? So yeah, I'm adverse to dying. It's not on my bucket list to die. So
wow, that's a real take, Aaron. Thank you for that.
Skydiving, no. Bungee cord diving, no. Swim with sharks, pass. Mountain climbing, if there's any snow, or there's any possibility of not getting back, if there's bears up there, right? Yeah, I'm not down.
I've done something like that before, but yeah.
I'm not down with anything where there is anything beyond. I mean, driving a car, you get into a car accident, obviously, but that's a 1 in a million thing. I'm not down with seeking a thrill for anything where death is a possibility, even if it's somewhat remote. Not gonna die.
Yeah.
Not gonna die. Call me a coward. I don't care.
I think I would skydive because that's so like.
I'm afraid of heights as it is. So.
That's actually really not. It's kind of low risk, but
is it? Sometimes they don't open. Sometimes the chute doesn't open.
I guess it's been normalized to me because I used to work with people. I worked with 2 people who skydived a ton. Like they would go skydiving all the time. So I guess it's gotten a little like.
So from
like
adjacent experience that it's nothing. It's easy peasy,
but like,
lemon squeezy.
Yeah.
I hear you on that. But here's what's great though. Here's what's great. You have all these daredevils out there who are making videos and putting them on Instagram. Mm-hmm. So I can experience what it looks like to skydive without doing it. I can see what it's like to ski down these crazy mountains, and you see people sometimes on those dirt bikes, and some of the things they navigate and go down. It's unbelievable. And they have the GoPro. There's some that are filmed so well done that if you immerse yourself in the screen, you really can have the sensation of like without crashing into a tree. It's amazing. So I can get the thrill that way.
Yeah, I just can't even. I can't fathom ever doing something like that, even if it was for free.
What?
I mean, like, I'm gonna go zip lining in a few weeks. Like, I'm good. That's kind of like that's probably the. Okay.
I don't do heights. I used to do roller coasters. I've even retired from roller coasters. Did you see my retirement announcement on Instagram last year? I'm gonna send it.
I did not have the privilege of seeing that. No.
I made a public announcement that I'm retired from. I went on a roller coaster with my daughter at Six Flags, I think, when we did the college tour trip. And as soon as we started, I used to be a roller coaster. Like I'm a roller coaster Hall of Famer. I call myself that. I was fearless, and just all sorts of great roller coasters I've been on. As soon as we started going up, I knew. Nope. Get me off. The whole time I'm like, oh God. Daughter was laughing at me. Afterwards, I was like, I'm done. And I looked online, and it's a well-known fact that once you reach a certain age, your entire perception of those kind of things and how your mind embraces them or reacts to them completely changes. Like there's literally a roller coaster prime, and then you get past your prime. And I think it was right around late 40s, early 50s, where there's just something in your brain that changes your entire perspective on what you're doing and how it assesses the risk factor. Even though they're safe, it's just a different mentality that you just develop with age. And I'm like, that's me right there. I'm that guy. I have out-aged roller coasters. And by the way, this summer, my entire family is taking a trip to Orlando to go 3 days at Disneyland and 3 days at Universal Studios. And my daughter has already told me that I will indeed be going on some risky roller coasters with her. So we expect plenty of videos of me screaming like a child on said roller coasters. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, yeah, I like roller coasters. I will say I draw the line on roller coasters at wooden roller coasters.
Oh, yeah. What are those
things?
Get them out.
No.
Get them out.
I've been on a few of them before. Never again.
Nope.
Okay? I will go on it, not a wooden one. You get on that thing and you feel like you are about to just crumble to your death.
Absolutely. I'm not getting on a roller coaster that looks like it was in the Scooby-Doo episode when they had to catch the carnival guy who was stealing money from the kids' fund. No, you don't have Scooby-Doo references in your brain. You can't picture what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I wasn't a big like cartoons kid growing up.
Man, no cartoons, no movies. Oh my goodness, what are we gonna do with you?
I know, right? I lived a very Casper Milquetoast childhood, apparently.
All right. Anything else?
Anywho,
anything else to add?
No, I don't think so.
All right, we're both ready for Thursday, and we'll be back.
Please.
We'll be back let's see, it's Thursday, so I think I'm doing Blazer Focus after that. So we'll be back early next week with an assessment of everything, and then a look ahead at free agency, which starts the 30th. Then we get to deal with that trade rumor mill. Woo, that's going to be amazing. All right, thanks for listening to the Sports by Northwest podcast. Please leave us a positive review and click that subscribe button, and we will be back shortly after the draft to break it all down, overanalyze it, and lead us into free agency. Thanks for listening.